Today, what we're going to be talking about is balance, and then there's three different types of art that we're going to discuss throughout the year. So we're going to introduce you to those today. So balance is a principle of art. The elements of art are the tools in your toolbox: is line, shape, color, value, form, texture, and there's one more I can't think of off the top of my head. Is there seven? I think it's space. Yes, space. Okay. Those are the tools you use to make your artwork. The principles of design, which we'll talk about throughout this semester and the rest of the year, they're how you use the tools, right? So everybody gets the same tools and everybody uses them differently, but the principles are different ways to use those tools. So balance is one of them, and that's the equality and weight or importance of objects in an artwork. And so there are three kinds of balance that we talk about. One is symmetrical, one is asymmetrical, and the third is radial. Okay, so everybody has learned about symmetrical balance, right? Like you draw something, you fold the paper in half, it's the same on both sides, it has symmetry, right? Okay, so what are some things that have symmetry? Like random just objects off the top of your head. Getty? Your shirt? Sure. Noah? Your water bottle has symmetry. A heart, if you were to draw it, your face, right? Your whole body, if you drew a line right down the middle, it has symmetry. Okay, so that's when it's exactly the same on both sides if you were to fold it vertically or horizontally. When things are asymmetrical, they're different, but they still have balance, okay? So like in this image, there's two cakes. They're not exactly symmetrical, but they're still balanced, all right? The last one is radial, and that's the one we're going to focus on because we're working on a color wheel, okay, and that has radial symmetry. So when we're talking about radial symmetry, we're talking about a type of balance that's based on a circle. Everything from the design starts in the center and it extends out, okay? It doesn't have to be a circle, though. You can get radial balance with squares, with octagons, other different shapes. Just depends on how you design it. You can still start with that central point and get radial balance. Like in nature, the most common thing that you would see that has radial balance is a flower. Okay, it starts with the center and the petals all go out and it shows symmetry. In human design, you might see like the wheels of your car. Have you ever looked at the hubcaps? How it's the same all the way around? Or like a wagon wheel, those type of things. So all of those things have radial balance. We're going to use radial balance to make our color wheels, but we're also going to use the different types of art. Okay, so there's three types that we like categorize art into: realism, abstract, and non-objective. Raise your hand if you've heard of realism. Okay, what about abstract? Okay, non-objective. That's what I thought. Okay, so realism's the one everybody knows. That's where we're trying to make our artwork look exactly like what it is. You know, if you look at this painting, you can tell that it's exactly that person, and it looks like you can reach out and touch it, and it's really impressive, but it's not the only kind of art, okay? Abstract art is when you change things. So our last project, for instance, yeah, we tried to draw the objects like they really were, but we technically abstracted them because we changed how they appear. So we used lines instead of shading, right? Some of you added a color that wasn't actually on your objects. Those little tweaks and changes make it abstract, okay? Even if it's not what you normally think of with abstract, or you think of like their faces crazy rearranged and you can hardly tell what it is. That's not the only way to do abstract art, all right? And the last one, and the one that I'm surprised nobody knows because it's the one that you look at and go, oh, anybody can do that, is non-objective. So non-objective art means that it doesn't have to look like anything. Okay, it might just be shapes and lines and color. And it doesn't actually look like it's supposed to be anything. And you go, oh, I could do that. That's non-objective art, okay? So you can make art and have no real purpose of what it's supposed to look like in the end. So here's some examples of radial designs, and I broke them down. 2 of them are color wheels. The third one's just a nice radial design. So the first one in the left corner, this one is non-objective, right? It's just lines and shapes. It's not really supposed to look like anything. They just look nice, and it has radial symmetry. The second one, what's that one look like? Peacock feathers, right? But it's abstracted because the colors are changed and going in the order of the color wheel. And the last one's kind of hard to see. I made it small because we're not really focusing on it. But the last one is like leaves and berries. And it is realism because if you were to look up close, it does look like leaves, and it's shaded and has value, and it's supposed to look real, okay? So we're going to be making color wheels. We're going to create designs today and work on transferring them to our final paper, and then we're going to paint them using watercolors in the end, okay? And you're going to actually mix the colors and try to make your own versions of them using that paint. So where we have to start is the planning phase. Does somebody want to pass this out for me? Or 2 people? Cole? All right, so just like with everything else we've done, we start planning, then we go to the real thing, okay? So today on this handout, on the front of it, we're going to start planning our designs. You're going to be making radial designs, but I'm going to do it the easy way. Where did our... I'm going to switch over here to my camera.
This is not.
Yeah, that's not bad. Are we going to work or no? Why isn't the picture working? Where'd it go? Will it work now? There we go. Okay, technical difficulties. Apologize. All right, so your handout looks like this. So because we want to do this the efficient way and not the let's make everything more difficult for ourselves way, we're going to make designs that fit inside the sections of the color wheel, and then you're going to pick your favorite, or you can use both of them, and then you're going to trace them into the final design. So you actually only have to draw it once. The other times, you're just tracing what you already drew, okay? So on here, you have 2 designs, and you have some options. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. All right, you have some options here. So you can try to do realism, that's fine, and remember that you have to use the colors of the color wheel. You can create an abstract design, or you could create a non-objective design. The choice is yours, the power is in your hand. If you're like, this is probably not my thing, the safest bet is non-objective. If you are doing really well and you're looking for a challenge, I would suggest trying abstract, right? It's a little bit different, you have to think a little bit more. You could pick a theme for your color wheel. If you want to be extra and be like, my theme is Lion King and my color wheel design is going to have something to do with that. However you want to do it, the power's in your hands. It's your choice. I just ask that it falls into one of those categories and you be able to defend, yeah, this is realistic and this is why, okay? Your design should fill the wedge, and you can either just use one of the 2 for your whole color wheel. Like mine, I made one design. And I've started tracing it. So now you can see it's going to make a really cool pattern all the way around, but I just used the one. Or you could use the 2 and rotate them. So like you would do design number 1, design number 2, and then design number 1, design number 2. Okay. Does that make sense? Have I lost anybody? Okay. So what you'll do is you'll make your 2 designs. Then you're going to take a photo of this and submit it to Color Wheel Designs. It's on the paper. This assignment's in Schoology. It's in the unit folder. Okay, once you get done with this, I would suggest tracing your pencil lines with Sharpie so that they're easier to see once you get to the next step. Okay, so once your designs are done, you turn in your handout, you decide what you're going to do. Am I just doing one? Am I doing both? Whatever. You'll come and get a square piece of watercolor paper, and you're going to need a light table. So at the front of the room, there's one that will fit 2 people. Behind Emily, there's one that will fit 2 to 3 people. And then behind that one, there's a box. You see the box on the cabinet? It has these. These are personal light tables. They plug into your Chromebook and the USB port. And you could use this. I just ask that you be careful. And everything that comes out of the box goes back into it when you're done. So like it's got a little plug and some little corner protectors. You will take it and plug it in. Maybe? Okay. And then once it's plugged in, you'll see the little blue light and you can hit the power button and it's nice and bright. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because let's say I'm ready for my final paper. I've got my light table. I'm going to flip to the second page. This is just a color wheel template so that you can trace it onto your paper. So then you know where your wedges are. So this you want to do really, really lightly and see how you can see that through there. Okay, so you can trace this in all the wedges super lightly. And then once I have that, I can go back with my design that I chose. And then I can trace that inside of each one of the little wedges. And then I can turn it and trace and turn it and trace. You guys see where I'm going with this? Okay. So then you'll trace your whole design so that it completely fills your color wheel. And then we're going to outline with Sharpie again, okay? That's as far as I'm going to go with the steps. Because I doubt any of you will get this far, and if you do, that's great, but I don't want to lose everybody else. So, any questions about that? Because I know it was a lot. Right, so you're working on this front paper, 2 designs, take a picture, turn it in, pick your best one, and then you're going to find a light table and start tracing. The papers you need are up here by me. If you need help, I'm happy to help you. Otherwise, the rest of the time is yours to work.